Our last speaker for today, we have architect Teo Ah Khing from Malaysia. Malaysian-born Teo Ah Khing is an acclaimed architect, entrepreneur, businessman, and racehorse owner and breeder. And he has a glittering career in the Harvard University graduate and has demonstrated an ability to both see and to capitalize on business opportunities across a myriad of different industries. He has developed countless master plans locally and overseas as well, and he is currently in the process of developing the Pearl of the Caribbean, the island of St. Lucia. So let us put our hands together to welcome Mr. Teo Ah Khing.
Good afternoon, each and everyone, and first and foremost, Dr. Tan, thank you for inviting me as a director of Kuala Lumpur Architecture Festival 2019. I can see among our midst today there are many friends and colleagues and past colleagues and so on, but I'd like to especially thank DATUM Architect for first made contact and invited me to come after 12 years ago, the DATUM. And of course, with all the past presidents of PAM and current president, Architect Lilian Tay, and all the LAM and PAM members and colleagues, I said, Selamat Petang. And as a Malaysian, it's good always to be back. And in fact, I'm just suffering a little bit from jet lag coming from St. Lucia, which is exactly 12 hours time zone difference behind us. Without further ado, Lukman asked me to talk a little bit about horse. So I put my slides. That's enough to satisfy him, me and the horse. All right. Other than that, this afternoon, hopefully within an hour, I will try to share with you the mistakes and the lessons that we learned in my 30 over years of professional experiences. Not all of them in architecture, and I enjoy what Peter just talked about in very detail. Even a simple building, there are plenty of things to talk about. But more so, I would like to talk about the architects and his role in the society in the greater context. Meaning, in the area of not just leave it to other profession, but taking it back into our domain and manage it among yourself, integrate it, at the same time stay focused to your true calling. When we were a bit tired of architecture, we said, why don't we try some other games, and horse racing is where we enter. That's not exactly the story. The real thing is after Medan, then I will tell you more detail, but the truth to the fact is that the first two horses that we enter, one of them called Australia, because I studied Australia with my wife. So we named it Australia, and this is what the journalists and the member of press call us, is that nobody start like this. And they call us a mystery part owner of the game. Then the other media, TDN in America, start to discover there's an Asian man actually wasn't Harvard educated, but actually gone into horse racing. Nobody got into the horse racing if they graduate from Ivy League. I think we are one of those. And then nobody, in fact, standing here right now as the son of the fisherman that I was, and I'm still is, and very proud of that dad and mom came from Fujian, from China, many years ago, and gone through toil and suffering, and to bring out a family of 10. I'm the youngest of the 10, and proud to be so. And today I'm going to share a little bit about our journey. Our journey from Malaysia and gone overseas, and then come back and then settle in Singapore, and then came back to Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, and then Pakistan, then Dubai and China. Now then I'll close off and finish off in the project called Pearl of the Caribbean. I believe many of us in the audience here can identify of the year 1993. And we have some famous faces there, and he was then the third term Prime Minister of Malaysia, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad himself. There was the year, of course, the famous airline, AirAsia, was launched, and so on and so forth. I think the pictures, you can identify yourself. But this is also the year in 1993 that our famous Proton Saga was rolled out of the factory, and we were all very excited and proud of that. And we had Great Norman and others, the one. That's a year that the TAK was formed, and very early on, and today maybe one lesson that I like to share is that you have to pick a mentor in your life. And I believe I have picked a good mentor. It's a long sustaining one too. Over the career and 30 over years that we have fortunate enough to meet and learn and advise later on in the professional capacity in the various areas. The person on the left-hand side, probably some of you may know, is a previous president of Pakistan, President Musharraf. We were involved in the planning and design of Pakistan Army Headquarters. Then the world's largest foot soldiers of 1.6 million soldiers. And of course, the slide on the right-hand side is none other than His Highness Sheikh Muhammad Rashid Al Maktoum. That I'll talk a little bit about the Medan, the story that generated from there. Now, quickly come back to Putrajaya. I think many of us who are from Malaysia and for those who are from overseas, you know that Putrajaya is one of the very few planned cities which is government-centric, and that means government as an anchor tenant. 26 ministries come together, and it was also planned as a tourist center in mind. And this is one of the very few in the world today that I think have attracted many other governments to come and to study the impact itself as a religious icon of the country. It represents the Islam. At the same time, it represents a post-colonial country and how they strive to be independent and try to place themselves as one of the top 20 in the world of economy, education, and others. We were fortunate enough to be invited and to study planning at that time when we were based in Singapore, only 2-year-old company. And this sketch is a very famous architect, I think he's among our midst, is by Lee Choa. Some of you may know Lee Choa, and I might just want to highlight that Choa is good in sketches, and the Prime Minister Department was placed on the hill to allow the Prime Minister himself and the departments to move in within 2.5 years. Previous plan was rendered impossible because of the siting, and we took a bold step to cut off the top of the hill to allow the building to stabilize and to build over 1 million square feet of set. At the same time, we raised the weir. Many of you might not aware. Some of you in our midst here might be aware that Putrajaya has one of the largest man-made lakes in the whole Asia, right? And how to do that? In our planning here, that we raised the weir. Many of you should know what's the term weir. Weir is actually a dam, right? Set up to allow for a damping of entire system. What you see, the lake system here in Putrajaya that was done almost in 1994 was actually a resultant of the contour. It's a natural contour subject to the weir height. We raise 1 meter away, the shape of the lake changes correspondingly. The important thing about these slides is that the two axes, one is the civic axis, the red color, and the other one is the orange axis. Of course, we have king, the system of our parliamentary system, we have a king. So the yellow axis, the royal color, is actually linking to the Istana Hingap, which is our Agong will be recited at the top of the hill. And at the end there is actually our masjid or the mosques. Right in the intersection is a dataran, is where the civic met the royal. This was a very early sketch. Our computer system wasn't that sophisticated, so you pardon me, it's very rough. But however, the whole idea of village, the kampong, the siting of various ministries, some ministries are smaller, some are bigger, are equally located and are located on a hill. And this is a resultant, and we didn't do exactly the building. These are various architects' layout, but the red building and the following buildings are done by our offices. Now, I'll quickly go through because of 1 hour time, I'm very aware that many of you want to see our latest work, which is in Caribbean. So I will just select a few samples for our visitors. This is my favorite project in my hometown, Myriad, which is next to Brunei. We were asked to do a city park with limited budget of 8 million. And I guess it was kind of interesting to start creating a multicultural representation. In our very limited resources, we created a Japanese garden, Islamic garden, Iban garden, a plaza, and so on and so forth, and still within the budget. Then later on in our career, we move on to create and study a lot of tourism. And midst of 1990s, as a boom of Asia, the tourism boom, and the government was preparing themselves to receive tourists, not just from the typical ASEAN, but also the China was opening up. Many of you may be aware that today, China has 240 million people owning passport that can travel, minimum 1 trip a year. In the next 6 years, there'll be 400 million trips. So in terms of, for some of your entrepreneur architects here, planning to do certain type of buildings or industries that are going in, my recommendation is think about the numbers. These are some of the work that we started doing, and this is one of the very important projects that we learned, even though it was never built, but it was the idea to suggest for the movement of the Straits of Malacca to avoid congestion for oil from Middle East to Japan, Taiwan, China, to create a depot up in north in Kedah, and bringing the airport, seaport, and move it away from the mainland of the paddy for the farmer, preserve their land and culture, and then create industries and income to subsidize for a certain period of time. It was a great idea, I thought, and then this Kedah Reclamation Project allowed us then later on, few years, to launch the APAM in Dubai. We did multimodal network transportation studies. That was one of my favorite subjects at Harvard with MIT. So when we came back, the planning of the Tanjung Pelapas, we call it Tanjung Kubang Master Plan, linking a port closest to Singapore, this is actually a container port, to the airport, and how to establish the corridor. That was done in the year 1999 and launched by Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad in year 2000, I believe. And quickly fast forward to other thing that our office did, and this is one of my favorite project, and Project 101 in Dubai, and basically the testing the constraint and the limitation of how to establish the structure, helical, the DNA sort of structure coming through, and provide wing load and all this. It took us 5.5 months to finish this project studies, and the basement was 6-story deep, and global financial crisis came. So we went through 3 global financial crises. This is one of them. Now, let me now quickly move on to the subject matter today. We asked ourselves, and we told ourselves and all our members, some of you are here with us, stay focused. Stay focused doesn't mean you don't look around. You stay focused on the mission that you are asked to do. We started off as a TAK group. Then quickly let me introduce. Now we have the Caribbean DSH called Desert Star. We have on the left-hand side China Horse Club, which is my most passionate darling right now, if I can say. And on the right-hand side is our China Horse Club Foundation that we have for its formation till now has, I believe, continuing doing some social responsibility work that I will highlight in a while. On the left and on the right, the Alpina is closest to where Peter lives. We have 2 hotels in Switzerland, in Chur and Szczecin, and I really appreciate the way he presented in the material, in the sighting on the mountains and things there. But Peter, our approval in Pearl of Caribbean only take 3 weeks. So welcome. In Australia, we have wineries, and these are the subsidiaries of because of China Horse Club and our member. Then the Royal St. Lucia Turf Club, which is also our entity, that I'll talk a little bit more about, and CCF is our own generated horse Olympics. And we plan in a couple of years' time to have a round-the-world Formula One under the theme CECF International. We say stay focused, and we say stay innovative. So saying innovative is the key to survive. Many of us in the audience here, some of you, I believe when Proton Saga was launched, you were just in the kindergarten. So I think the key word here is that the future is long, and so stay innovative and in order to survive and excel. Medan. Medan is actually now and still is holding the world's largest title of the racetrack and hotel, integrated resort, so on and so forth. The story of Medan is an interesting one because it took an Asian, Malaysian, Chinese to convince an Arab sheikh to convince among their family, which is of course several brothers owning different parcels of land, to give up some parcels in order for Medan to excel. One of which, of course, if some of you are familiar with the Arabic culture, the existing Naqshband racetrack was formed and built by Sheikh Zayed, the father of Sheikh Mohammed, also the father of Sheikh Hamdan. And many consultants tried, and without being able to convince the Sheikh himself to demolish the old structure, including the Sheikh Rashid, the eldest brother's grandstand, in order for Sheikh Mohammed to invest more than $2 billion. Because the more that you build the building, the building are running away from the finishing line. We understood that sensitivity, and that's why I said this building is not just a grandstand. Today, it still holds the record as one of the largest establishment facilities of grandstand horse racing in the world, with about 10,000 car parks. We have proposed to build the Sheikh a 3D IMAX theater to put all the hard work of this father, Sheikh Rashid, and his elder brother, Sheikh Zayed and Sheikh Rashid, into an IMAX 3D to capitulate all their hard work, history, the building, reconstructed animation into a theater. And it became a tourist attraction today. If you go to Dubai, that tourists will would like to understand the culture of Arabic horse racing, Arabic long distance, short distance, will come to this museum. It's called Museum of Horse, right? And other than that, the constructions from beginning, from a desert to finish, which is the Dubai World Cup, took 924 days. And I won't go into detail, but I think 12 years ago, when I first showed the video in this platform, and I received adverse and some mixed comment, and some say that Teo Ah Khing gone mad, and but today I stand here to show you the finished building, and we are doing something even worse than mad right now. These are the work done by Malaysian, truly Malaysian, and I'm very proud to stand here today as a Malaysian to show that Malaysia really boleh, all right? We are going out, give yourself a clap. We really, I think that this platform should be international platform, that we speak Bahasa, we speak English and Chinese and Hindu and many other languages, and we transpire culture. We have Chinese culture, Malay culture, Peninsular culture, Thai culture, Indian culture, and we think we can, and I believe so, survive all over the world. But I face the largest challenge now, biggest challenge in the Caribbean. I'll share with you in a minute. We understood and we planned for, I'll go quickly, and in terms of, what's the word to use? Exuberance, putting sapphire on the floor. We have done that, right? And people use it for the small piece. We use entire piece in the square meters. So after that, I told my wife, all my energy has spent doing that. I have no more money to buy for you. The hotel was done in less than 140 days. Everything was prefab. The structure was hoisted. The palm structures was hoisted by cranes, and then overload and settle. All the leaves and palm leaves as a balcony was done, and this whole hotel was as a host for all the sheka. In the Arabic culture, The ladies are not supposed to be seen in public, especially with your royalty in a public meeting. These hotel rooms are specially set at the bend of the racetrack to allow for the family to together in one place, but not to be together, if you understand what I mean. This is the 3D IMAX theater, and because the father, Sheikh Said himself, is a fan of diamonds, so the facade, every piece is a diamond. It's not easy to put a diamond facade, frameless diamond facade. 4 pieces, each weigh about 6 tons, to be hoisted and put together as a series of diamond wall. And I'm sure Peter will know how difficult it is. And the good thing is that we have only 1 piece breakage in the whole installation with the time pressure. This is the IMAX theater I'm talking about. We use it for many functions. Of course, the 3D IMAX, the screen is about twice this size behind me. And the sound system at that time, and it was launched in 1996, it was a big sensation. And then we use it for many other functions, Dubai World Cup and others. Today in Dubai and in the Middle East, this is one of the most usage area. Horses. Many people who have visited Medan have commented, it's tremendous, it's big, but not many people understand the back of house. And we have designed more than a few kilometers of horse tunnels, heights 4 meters, and weave around the entire grandstand, bringing the horse from where it saddles. And we walk, they warm up to where they appear in the race. Horses like us, athletes, they're nervous. They are nervous before the race. So our idea here is to create, to listen to the horse and to understand what they want and present it and solution. Japanese right now, Hong Kong, European, American are coming to Medan to restudy what is for the animal, and the injury for Medan is the lowest in the world. And until today, I'm proud to say that 10 years later, we still have the best record of this. I'll show you a little bit of the formation, the initial idea of how China Horse Club came about. When we were the chief advisor and consultant to the Sheikh Mohammed and to the family, and we noticed that every year, more and more Chinese came over to Dubai. More and more Chinese come on stage and claim the cup. And more Chinese start to talk to us. I'm sure some of you know this fellow here, right? The Kung Fu master from Hong Kong. And he is also a horse owner. And we met, and he asked me, why don't you also think about doing a club that can also represent China and represent Chinese? And that's the reason why China Horse Club is formed. We started ourselves, and we have a logo. And in less than 5 years of formation, currently we are the 5th largest in the world in terms of third-party independent ranking. Number 1 are the Kumo from Ireland. They have since become number 2. Godolphin, Sheikh Mohammed now is number 1 in the world. Magic Bloodstock, and then Sheikh Hamdan, the Sheikh Mohammed's brother, and then China Horse Club. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about our journey. To date, we have 500 winnings all around the world as of winning of horse racing. And we have 31 Group 1. Group 1, 31 Group 1, what does it mean? It means we have 31 IPO. Anybody understand IPO? Your company go listing is called IPO. So every horse that wins Group 1, the horse graduated to become a stallion. A stallion print money for you, and it's called IPO. Okay? Dr. Tan, all right, we're going for IPO. I'll show you a clip later on. And interesting enough, and something beyond my own expectation, is that when we set up China Horse Club for the sake of just servicing some of these Chinese members to come to Dubai and so on and so forth, we didn't realize that we suddenly created a new platform. A new platform that I want to share with everyone here, the audience, is that you must start to think about your own platform. Much as you are an engineer or interior designer, landscape or architect for that matter, or a successful businessman like Dr. Tan. And you should continue to multiply your platform. And we're surprised and beyond our own imagination. As an architect, as chairman of the China Horse Club, this platform, and some of you probably recognize the faces, we have a Malaysian inside us, right? Ananda. As an architect, when I want to approach, maybe he's not easy to be approached. Ananda Krishnan, he's one of our top 5 in terms of the richest man in Malaysia. But in the industry of the horse, we are colleagues. And then he invited us to be a partner. So we are now partnered with him with some of the horses all around the world. And that's to say that once you create a platform, suddenly the Tan Sri become your friend. That's the story. Of course, we had linked with all the Qatar, Kuwaiti, Saudi, and so on and so forth. Every one of them are our partner now, meaning access is very important, right? We have Sheikhs Mohammed, this guy from Dubai, he controls all the land. He's a land director in Dubai. So anyone of you want to go to Dubai, call me, okay? The richest man from Texas, my brother Kenny Trout himself, never partnered with anybody, but because of China Horse Club access to China, 1.4 billion population, he said, Teo, could I be partner with you? So we have approach from people. Remember, create your platform and people come to you. That's the moral of the story. When we first started, I never know how to wear the top hats. And I'll show you one here. That's me. It still look the same or no? No. So I get to used to wear it and I like it. Because every time you wear it, and then the value of China Horse Club gone up because we are now getting successful in the European market. This is Australia, and this is America. Our horse just won in 2017, the much coveted Kentucky Oaks. I'm sorry to bore you about horses, but I think the story behind the horses is about something else. I'm going to show you architecture and city planning and urban design in a while. But I thought these are the lessons I learned. It's going through horse, we learn about losing. We learn about how to lose gracefully. And I have members who pay me $1 million to say, please teach my kids how to lose. Because they are spoiled from China. They never know how to be scolded. They are pampered by the mother, grandmother, paternal side, mother side. So please, Teo, take him and teach him. So that this horse, make sure that you buy the first horse, not a good horse. Let him experience losing. So I have members like this. Interesting, right? So this is happening. In 2018, US Triple Crown, which is actually a race that allows horses to run within 5 weeks, 3 major races, 2,000 meters, 1,900 meters, and 2,400 meters. In 153 years in American history, only 12 horses have ever attained, they call US Triple Crown. Last year, it was our time, and we presented the China Horse Club Silk within the audience of 180,000 and with television crowd of over 350 million. And we presented the winning horses called Justify. And this year, maybe I do not have my good fortune to receive any architecture award from Malaysia, PAM and LAM. However, I take pride in receiving the 2019 Eclipse Award in America, which is rightly called the Pritzker Prize of US racing. And thank you. This is not showing off. This is just say that if you have the right platform, everybody can stand there, all right? And it is an honor, and the press asked me about some of the interview, and they found out I'm from Malaysia and so on and so forth. I think it's interesting to be able to share at the same time with fellow partners and the culture of our country, where we come from. And I think this is important that when you create a platform, you gain respect. Sports Illustrative put our horse and our name on the cover, right? LeBron James was making smaller picture on the top, right? So I feel very proud about that. I have the original copy in my office. I have a short clip for those who allow me, and just is a 2-minute race to the future, race to the Triple Crown.
I guess he's done. 525 to everyone else. I have PC 500,000. Thank you. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner.
And it's Justify by 3 or 4 lengths. A very promising type. Justify will justify his odds on, a quote, with the promise of bigger things to come. Just who is the most talented 3-year-old to race this weekend? Justify, a colt of limitless potential, wins by 6 lengths. Justify, another exhilarating exhibition by the supremely gifted athlete. He's on a dizzying ascent to greatness.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby. Justify, a 2-length lead as they come to the wire. He's just awesome. Justify has won the Kentucky Derby. They're off in the Preakness. It is Justify in front. Good Magic on the outside. Tenfold. Bravazzo. Justify. He's unstoppable. He won the Preakness. A 16th to go. Justify is still there. Justify from Gronkowski. He's just perfect. And now he's just an immortal. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner.
Thank you. When I'm down, I always switch this video on. Now, let me talk a little bit about the theme of this gathering here tomorrow. Our tomorrow project is from a very small Caribbean island called St. Lucia, latitude 13 degrees north and 60 degrees west. And these are the connectivity that we show how to get to our Tomorrowland. And seriously, Peter, I'd like to invite you and your wife and the family to come. It is one of the most beautiful islands. Of course, in front of Tun Dr. Mahathir, I say it's second to Langkawi. All right? Nothing can be better than Langkawi. So it's just very close to Langkawi, but not exactly Langkawi. But you have to come to see it. So Tun know what I'm talking about. He said, I have been to Caribbean and I have been to St. Lucia. It is beautiful. So that was an equalizer, okay? Now, how did we get to St. Lucia and why a Malaysian company ever bothered to go and traverse to places that so far, you know? And my wife always asks me, do you have a second family in Caribbean? Of course, she knows I don't. The whole idea of St. Lucia evolved from China Horse Club. The demand of horse purchase of better animals, the prices of animals start to grow because they need more and more horses, and we can't find better horses than those from America. And to buy horses from America, you have to buy not the top range because we can't afford every horse 5 million, 10 million US dollars. So we have to find good horses, runnable horses, but affordable prices. And in winter in America, all horses in the north, when there's snow, they move them down to Florida for training because in the winter, Florida, no snow, fine weather, horses can continue to do their daily routine. Now, likewise, I always tell my office members, horses train every day. So as an architect and engineer, do you train every day in your mind how to keep sharp? Because horses, if they don't train, they are not sharp, they have no hope in the racetrack. We chose St. Lucia after many islands selection to be a transit point, to link them from horses into St. Lucia, and then export to China because, as you're aware, but this is not directly related to the trade war, America are not allowed to send horses in bulk to China. 1 horse, 2 horses, yes. Not 100, not 200, not 300. I'm talking about thousands, right? Finally, we landed in St. Lucia. And we landed in a place where a new government just took over. And we introduced ourselves, and we said, I remember, was it yesterday, the Kebun talked about a piece of 8 acres of land under the high tension wire. Now we identify a piece of land, 685 acres, which is a rubbish dump, solid waste dump, which is they dump all the asphalt, which is a derelict runway site. And nobody wants it. So I said, all right, we'll do something about it. That's the reason why we presented the master plan. And this master plan was submitted to the Arabian Investment Award. And just recently, they won the award, and they are so happy. The minister came to my office in Singapore and presented the trophy to me. Receiving an award and receiving cup is totally different from building the real thing. So I would like to remind all the aspiring architects here, drawing is one thing, but to understand how to build it, a sequence of building it, and how to move around, I think you need a mentor. And in front here, I see so many mentors here. I think I would like to talk to all my senior members in front here. Adopt 1 or 2 students, adopt the scheme. I think Pam should do that. So the senior guys should adopt, and Joa should have about 50 students. He likes teaching, and I'm talking about mentoring, not just in terms of lectures and intellectual knowledge. I'm talking about mentoring into your entire well-being, right? We stay focused and we stay integrated. And integrated means, just now I mentioned about CECF, and we use the CECF, it stands for China Acquired Cultural Festival, and to move ourselves in 5-year time to organize Global Horse Championship. So we are in our 3rd year now, and Her Majesty the Queen appreciate our work, and she gave us the permission for our turf club in St. Lucia to be coined Royal St. Lucia Turf Club. This is her first, and she said it's the last. So we are very honored to have our club called Royal St. Lucia Turf Club. This Royal St. Lucia Turf Club is not Royal Selangor Club, yeah? It's 2 different royalty here. And we are honored in the terms of as an Asian-based club to be coined Royal St. Lucia. Of course, there are prices to pay. We know the price, and we make London one of our CECF stop as a global championship challenge. Yeah? Quickly, then we look at St. Lucia. As an architect, you ask me, what has it to do with you about training? St. Lucia has 33% of youth unemployment, 25% of national unemployment. First thing to go in to do, we said, let's see whether we can contribute. In our hotel investment in Switzerland, we have invested, and we have also partnered with École Hôtelière Lausanne, which is world #1 in hospitality, training, and also tourism. So we offer this program to St. Lucia. Of course, then we continue to build this and allow, these are the students in Switzerland, allow them to enroll in the program in St. Lucia, to take the student from to take the people from the streets and get them involved in hospitality. I'll show you why, because St. Lucia indeed is slightly better than Langkawi, yeah? So don't tell Tun. The world tourists, the world crews are coming in droves. I have never seen, I hope you have never too, a cruise of 7,000 people, 7,000 passengers, a cruise. I'll talk about it in a minute. I show quickly our foundation work. Our foundation work, every year we've done a lot of foundation work, and I want to talk about numbers here. I think it's a bit, we use a platform to do charity work, and this is the the latest slides I've taken last week. Integration. All our experience from TAK, design consultant, from Desert Star, from China Horse Club, from Royal St. Lucia Turf Club, from CCF, from the Swiss Hotel Modern Resort, and our foundation are putting all together. As I told the leadership in St. Lucia, you are very lucky, and this is hopefully my last mile. So I'm putting all the chip in one table this time, all right? We can't do it ourselves. The reason why I agreed and with Chowa and Dr. Tan to come here, I'd like to share with our fellow Malaysian. If you want to come for holiday, you know that Teo Ah Khing is in St. Lucia, so you can come. At least come for enjoyment for holiday. If you want to come to explore, please, invitations are extended to everyone and is effective forever. And therefore, let me say what is tomorrow for us. We like to see a more integrated world because the sun never set on China Horse Club or Teo Ah Khing. Because the moment New Zealand get a sun, our industries in horse is in New Zealand. The moment is set in California. So our industry currently straddle the entire globe. Our event, our information, and with the member and press and media covers all around the world. I say except the LATAM, Latin America section that we are working on right now. Because of those requirements, personally, it's put a strain and also challenge on me. Have to travel, sometimes personally, for interview, for broadcasting, live, and so on and so forth. But I have never regretted, and I hope the audience here, even though you might be a young architect, but I'm saying that public speaking, learning to speak, learning a master language, doesn't matter, it has to be English, can be learned Mandarin, and it's very important. Don't forget that. We have our own in-house magazine for members called Majestic, and our editor is around, and I would like to have a few words from some of the very key people here who organize this, so that our members will know about this event. This magazine are distributed all the Caribbean Prime Minister's offices. So I like to have this event recorded and interviewed so that we can also communicate this overseas. As I said, we use the sports to connect all the continents. To date, we have won 500 and continue to win. Currently, we are at 505 as we speak. We have a moment of excitement. Also, we are bringing members to experience different lifestyles. The richest man in Thailand came with us, and he brought his just newly graduate daughters to experience racing on ice. Again, some of you you don't have to be the richest man in Thailand or Malaysia, but invitations are open every year, January, February, St. Moritz. Come along. We don't forget, we always let our left hand do charity and our right hand doesn't know. And that is a principle that we have kept since school days until today. I learned and I heard and I remember many years ago when we were a student and poor student in New South Wales, and somebody said this: when you think as a student you cannot give because you are poor, wait till when you become adult and you start making money and you say, I have a family to feed, so you will never give. When you grow older and you say, now I'm old, I have to keep some for myself, so you will never give. So that means that you are wasting the earth's resources, you're eating and not doing anything. So therefore, my message today is continue to do social work, continue big or small, do it until you feel the pain. At my time, when I'm back in Shanghai, I'm one of the rotating chairmen for Shanghai Entrepreneur Association, and it is a small little elite club linking all the heads of the industry together. We mentor students. We mentor students from Zhejiang University, Tsinghua University, and we teach them about the area that we are expertise. And this is a very Confucius sort of attire, bringing students, bai si fu, that kind of thing. So it's also a part of networking, and I'm in charge of the entire horse industry in China. So therefore, I believe that to conclude, we should continue to reinvent ourselves, and after Medan, and we should not call ourselves the expert in horse racing. and reinvention by 2 steps ahead at least, so that we can stay relevant and also be fruitful to others. When I mentioned to you 680 acres of dump sites, the project on the south is exactly a dumping site by the government. But the American forces have built the runway many, many years ago, and it has built a small little airport, airfield. This is Caribbean Sea, this is Atlantic Ocean. And this piece of land, for whatever reason, as I said, nobody touched it. So when we arrived, and the first thing at the airport, and then we drove around, so we created a new road, protocol road. We introduced a new airport terminal for the government to allow for tourism. We bring in the world's largest cruise in the Caribbean side. 2 boats have 14,000 hotel guests, 14,000, right? And we built in what we call later on Marlin Island, creating Atlantic Ocean, bringing the best equestrian sports, doing the horse racing, CECF, create the lagoon, and then also build some branded home villas. Now, Teo Ah Khing cannot do it by themselves, as you know. When I came here 12 years ago, I presented Medan, same thing. I'm not here to take architects away from some of the bosses. Please, I'm here to share that we have landed in a project now worth 3.5 times the GDP of the country. 3.5 times the GDP of the country. Imagine for a moment, Malaysia GDP, 340 billion. 3.5 times is 1,000 billion worth of project equivalent. Their GDP is 1.7 billion US dollars, and we are creating a $5 billion project. Why do we do that? First, we get the attention. United Nations, America, Washington, Europe, everybody start to sit up and say, what's happening in St. Lucia? Why St. Lucia? We got the attention. The Queen sent her grandson to help us, to give us some strength during the groundbreaking of the Royal St. Lucia Turf Club. So Prince Harry came, and if you want to see Prince Harry and the other half, or maybe some more, December 13, please come this year. We are doing a big race. There's a promise. To do racing is not that easy as many of you thought. A lot of ideas have to go in and had a lot of understanding about distances, about animals, about wind speed, direction, the sun, the soil condition, and so on. So lots of permutation. And I have an expert in my field here. I think today, Chi Choi, my director, came back from the Royal Caribbean to support us. So you might want to talk to him. Some of you are interested to learning a new platform, a discipline. This is one of the most lucrative business in the world. How lucrative? In 3 seconds, you can sketch it out, and you charge a client 250,000. Look man like that, right? Of course, there are many, many intricacies in terms of track width, sizes, mixture of dirt, turf, so on and so forth. I won't bore you to that, but I show you the last recent 4 samples of the work that we have done. And a grandstand is not really a grandstand, it's a place of gathering. It's a Mongolian tent, it's a celebration of industries, of culture, and gathering of 60,000 people here. And in Qatar, the grandstands took the form of an emir sword, and one of the buildings became a grandstand, and then we have reclamation and so on and so forth offshore. We have grandstand in this nature, and it's one called Tiger Eye, and I think this is also something very interesting, and others. This is our motto in our office. I said to many talented architects, engineers, whether it's a male or female, I said, doesn't matter. I know all of you are carefully selected, know how to build beautiful spaces. Show me beautiful slides, whether it's a big scale, small scale building, kitchen, whatever. And it does make our life pleasurable because this is our calling as an architect with art and science. However, I want to push them further and say that you can create all these nice spaces, but you must enhance the material worth. And you don't make it just pleasurable, but you must also make it profitable. And we stay relevant today, after 30 years in the business, because we stay profitable, both to the client and to ourselves. Imagine for a moment, a square foot of desert in Dubai is worth $2 in desert, right? It's plenty. But a square foot of waterfront land in Dubai is worth $250 US. When we landed in Dubai, Dubai waterfront was 100 kilometers long. The entire length is 66, plus a little canal here and there. When we left Dubai, we had created additional 250 kilometer length of waterfront. The son of the sheikh asked me, Teo, how do you manage to hang around my father for 6.5 years without being chopped? I told him, simple. I help your father to save money and create wealth. And that is also another platform. Ladies and gentlemen, architects, young aspiring architect, before you want to be a millionaire, you please create $1 million for your client. Then you will be a multi-millionaire, all right? And I think with that, I would want to go through quickly some of this current work that we are doing, and without further ado, and I want to bore you. Drawing is easy. Doing a code is difficult. Writing a code, and I will challenge a lot of architects and engineers to learn how to write the code. When you write the code, the architects can do a different aesthetic interpretation. However, if you do not have the code, your project cannot grow, and it will be out of control altogether. And we specialize ourselves in doing code, right? And the codes come in different manner, different heights. And I just show you. This is the rubbish dump, right? This whole area. And we took this, and we took this. This project is beyond my time. I'll do as much as possible, maybe in the next 10 years, and we have to pass it on. So therefore, please come and join me in undertaking this. This is my biggest challenge in my life right now, to create a national identity called the marlin island. Marlin fish is the most popular sea creature in the Caribbean. You go fishing for marlin. So we create a marlin. The whole idea, the belly of marlin, is the Caribbean longest uninterrupted beach of 1.7 kilometer long white sand, right? In the process, I become expert in the EIA. I learn about waves. I learn about wind. I learn about sea depth. I learn about a lot of other things that I never learned before. I learn about to be a harbor master. I learned how to be piloting a cruise ship like captain, entering where there are hurricanes, and so on and so forth. So I learned a lot of this, and then I also know, this was our project in Dubai, that even a flat piece of land in the sea can be a national identity. It doesn't have to be high-rise like this, or like this, or like this. It can be like this, right? Three more slides, I'm off. These are the things that I want to summarize. The create platforms, planning for your future, remember to always do something for others, always accept criticism, and look forward. I look forward. I have a lot of fans, and unfortunately, she just married last month. We look at a program like this. If European can do it, we can do it. So this is a crowd in Melbourne, about 120,000 people. I look at these youth. I said, if I can do this for St. Lucian and reduce the unemployment and create youth employment and reduce it down to 10%, I think an Asian man with a group of support from all the ASEAN countries, I think we've done ourselves proud. Remember, choose a mentor wisely, stay focused, stay integrated, and I will leave you with this. And the last but not least, I show you something that I enjoy the most, our little hotel in Switzerland, that I think they have put together a video. And for some of you who are my friends, and for those who are not yet my friends, you are welcome to visit Switzerland. It's up the mountain from Chur, not far from Davos, all right? Thank you. Can we have the video now, please? Well, that's the end of my talk, and thank you everyone for listening, and I hope that it won't be another 12 years I stand here again to share with you, because probably we'll all be too old now. There'll be a new person coming up here. Well, again, thank you very much.